Hello guys, how are you doing? Well, as you know, all of you have 10 minutes to join the meeting, so let's wait for the others to join us, okay? And then we're going to start. Hello, guys. Well, I see you're only 6 right now. I think, yeah, you're 6. I mean, there's a lot of people who didn't show up yet. It's a shame. Most of you are not present here. However, we need to start right now because we already waited. One more person joined the meeting. Mm, Give me a minute, please. Okay, so you are now 7. Now I think you're 9 now. Yeah. Okay, guys. Remember, you only have 10 minutes to join the meeting. So we're going to start with those who are present right now. Um, so yesterday we didn't get to finish. I didn't realize. I told you we were supposed to talk about the cardiovascular system, the digestive system, and the female reproductive system, right? However, I didn't notice we didn't talk about the female reproductive system. So that's what we're going to do now. And tomorrow we are going to talk about the others, the respiratory system and all the others that are in this the slides that I'm going to send you after we finish tomorrow. Someone else just joined the meeting. Give me a second, and that will be it, okay? Okay, so for those who didn't listen, you have 10 minutes, guys. You have a lot of absences. If I show you the list I'm holding, you would freak out, definitely. Some of you have all your attendance the way it should be. Some of you already have 5 absences. Okay, be very careful about that, okay? So, okay. So we're going to talk about the female reproductive system, okay? I'm going to share my screen. After that, we're going to start with today's class, actually. So you can see my screen, right? Do you see it, guys?
Yes.
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 Okay, thank you. So we talked about these 2, right? We were supposed to talk about these 3 ones yesterday. Didn't realize we did not uh, talk about the reproductive system. So that's what we are going to do now. So let's get to it. So pronunciation here is really easy. I mean, it's the uterus, right? Uterus fundus. Notice pronunciation fundus. The fallopian tube, the ovary, the cervical canal, the cervix, the vagina, ovarian ligament, femur, and the uterus, right? So this is a piece of cake. However, we also have to talk about the functions, right? So, and does anybody here want to be a gynecologist? Anybody here? Nobody. Okay. So, as you all know, here we have an axis, right? Hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and gonads. This is an axis, right? as there are, well, the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland commands so many other accesses, right? So here we have one of them. As you all know, the hypothalamus releases this hormone that in, I think all of the books that I got to read about this specialty, they have these letters here stands for the words in English, right? So it's important for you to know. So it's gonadotropin releasing hormone. That's the main order of these hormones letters, right? Well, then the hypothalamus releases this hormone, reaches the anterior pituitary gland, and as you know, as its name is telling us, makes the pituitary gland to release one of these two hormones, right? Luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. As you can see, these letters here are related to the words in English, right? As I think all of the hormones that we ever read about, right? So, can anybody tell? Well, these are the gonadotropin, right? Both hormones, and they are released by the pituitary gland, and they are they're released into the bloodstream, and they reach the gonads. In this case, the female ovaries, right? And does anybody know? Well, I mean, this is the pituitary gland only has one stimulation, which is this hormone, right? The gonadotropin releasing hormone. But the response that the pituitary gland has are two hormones. Does anybody know what difference? Uh, what is the main difference between the releasing of the LH and the FSH? Because they have the same stimulation, right? Does anybody know what the main difference is? Because our professors at the university told us that this hormone is released, then it goes to the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland releases one of these two, right? What is the main difference between the stimulation for the pituitary gland to release this one or this one?
I only know that luteinizing or hormone is helps control the menstrual cycle.
Okay, the first, okay, but do you want me to ask this question in Spanish for you to understand the question?
La hormona luteinizante ayuda al ciclo menstrual.
Okay, they both have, well, they are both involved in the menstrual cycle. So I'm going to speak just one moment in Spanish for you to understand the question, okay? So, uh, el hipotálamo libera hormona liberadora de gonadotrofinas, ¿no es cierto? Y esta hormona va a la hipófisis anterior o glándula pituitaria. Y la pituitaria o hipófisis anterior libera una de estas dos hormonas, la LH y la FSH, ¿no es cierto? Pero si tienen el mismo estímulo que es la GnRH, ¿de qué depende de que la pituitaria o, sí, bueno, la pituitaria libere LH o FSH? Si tienen solo un estímulo, ¿de qué depende de que libere una u otra? Anybody, guys? This is physiology. For 5 extra points. You know, we're working with that method. Anybody who answers gets some extra points. In this case, the one who answers has 5 extra points. What is the main difference? Hello, guys. Anybody? Okay, nobody. Okay, so the answer is here. They have the pituitary gland, right, only has one stimulation. This one, right? This hormone. But this hormone is released in a pulsative way, okay? It's released in pulses, like this, pulses, okay? So it is not a continuous release of this hormone. The hypothalamus does not release continuously this hormone. It is a pulsatile way, in pulses, okay? So when uh, this gland, this pituitary gland, responds to the speed of the pulses. Okay, so when they are slow pulses, slow, what is the main response? To produce LH. Slow, then we have LH. Okay, slow pulses, I think they are from 3 to 5 pulses a day. Okay, so when the hypothalamus only releases 3 pulses of this hormone, gonadotropin releasing hormone, what is the response from the pituitary gland? Well, then the pituitary gland releases LH. Okay, and when they are fast pulses, what is the main response from the pituitary gland? FSH. Did you get it? These pulses, I think they are from 10 to 12. Okay, I don't know if you ever read that, but when the pulses, the hypothalamus releases this hormone from 10 to 12 pulses a day, they are fast pulses, right? They're faster than 3 to 5. So when the hypothalamus releases 10 to 12 pulses of gonadotropin releasing hormone, the response from the pituitary gland is to release FSH. When the hypothalamus only releases from 3 to 5 pulses of gonadotropin releasing hormone, the response from the pituitary gland is to release LH. Easy, right? So let's go on to the next slide. Does anybody have a question about this axis or pronunciation? Okay. So I asked if anybody of you wants to be a gynecologist. No one answered. But does anybody know, or can anybody explain the reproductive female system when we're talking about menstrual cycle? Come on, guys, for 10 points. You already missed 5 points. Come on, guys, if you get 10 points, you can rest for a few days. You wouldn't have to participate that much. With one participation here telling us the menstrual cycle, how they relate to hormones, you can be free for a few days. Can anybody tell us in Spanish then?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Okay. Uh, can anybody explain the menstrual cycle using this image we have on your screens? Talking about the hormone levels, how it relates to the endometrium. And the ovarian cycle. Even in Spanish, guys, come on. This is where you're all going to be doctors. And I guess some of you is going to like this specialty. I mean, it's really interesting. And well, does anybody know or can explain this picture we have? Okay, so you missed 10 points, guys. Or can anybody do it? I hear someone that has the microphone on.
I know that follicular phase
Okay.
it starts on the first day, right, of menstruations and ends with ovulation.
Okay, great.
And prompt by hypothalamus, the pituitary gland releases a follicle stimulating hormone, that is FSH.
Okay.
This hormone stimulates the ovary to produce around 5 to 10 follicles and switch bed on the surface. And then the ovulation is the release of a mature egg from the surface of the ovary. This usually occurs mid-cycle, around 2 weeks or so before the menstruation starts. And during the follicular phase, the developing follicle causes a rise in the level of estrogen. The hypothalamus is in the brain recognizes these rising levels and releases a chemical called gonadotropin releasing hormone. And I know the luteal phase. During ovulation, the egg bursts from its follicle, but the raptor follicle stays on the surface of the ovary. For the next 2 weeks or so, the follicle transforms into a structure known as the corpus luteum.
Okay.
And this structure starts releasing progesterone along these small amounts of estrogen.
Okay, great. What is your name? I'm going to write your name down and give you the extra points I promised.
Paola Pacasangre.
Okay, Paola, thank you. So we're going to do it again, okay? So as your classmate told us, the menstrual cycle has two phases, right? The follicular phases and the luteal phase, okay? And well, they're both divided by the 14th day, right? The day that the ovulation occurs, right? So here we have, and when we talk about the follicular phase, we need to focus on this one, right? So the hypothalamus releases one hormone that we already talked about, which is the called gonadotropin releasing hormone, right? And when we talk about the FSH, what is the main stimulus? It is slow pulses, right? Then it starts with slow pulses of gonadotropin releasing hormone. When this FSH, right here in light blue, right? This is, well, for you to understand, I'm going to send it in Spanish. The FSH has two periods of releasing, okay? One is the meseta, right? And the other is one, the pike, right? The pico. So here we have in this phase of the FSH levels helps the follicles to mature, right? It's like they recruit up to 20. I read up to 20 follicles, and they mature, right? From day one, I think, to the 13th day. Okay. From this 20, one is going to be the chosen one. Okay. So it is going to be in the the follicle that is going to be related to ovulation. Does anybody know what happens to the other 19 of the follicles that were maturing until this day? I mean, here, right? They are all mature, but one of them is going to reach ovulation. What about the others? Does anybody know? For 2 points, 2 extra points. Well, the other that didn't get to this mature state, okay, the others that did not get to this mature state are going to regression, okay, but one might think that this others that didn't are not related to ovulation are going to simply disappear, right? That's not correct. It is not shown here. However, this group of follicles that did not get to the mature state are going to release another hormone. Does anybody know what hormone we're talking about? Come on, guys, it's physiology. You all read about this, guys. Okay, this is the hormone related to the follicles that did not get to the mature state. Inhibin A. Okay, they release this hormone, inhibin A. Okay, so we have this one mature follicle. Okay, then what happens? As your partner told us, um, here, this follicle that got to the mature state is going to, well, it has some layers, right? One of the layers produces estrogens. As they mature, the estrogens levels are rising, okay? When these estrogens level are this high, the hypothalamus detects these high levels of estrogens. So what does it do? Stops the slow pulses and replace them with fast pulses. And what is the main response for the fast pulses of gonadotropin releasing hormone? LH. Okay, so when estrogens are this high, the hypothalamus detects these high levels of estrogens and starts producing fast pulses of gonadotropin releasing hormone. And then, as a response, the pituitary gland produces LH. So here is the LH. That is why it is related to the high levels of estrogens. So, does anybody know what the trigger effect is? In Spanish, el efecto gatillo. Does anybody know what the trigger effect is? Come on, guys, gain some points. Okay, the trigger effect is when this, well, the levels of LH form a peak, right? They were very low until this day. So the LH rises, the LH levels rise, right? And this is the peak of LH. The peak of the LH uh, is related to the trigger effect. So the trigger effect is related to ovulation. Okay, so if there is no peak of LH, there will not be ovulation. Since this happens, the response is to release the egg. Okay, so as your partner Paula told us, this follicle does not disappear. It's like a scar, right? It becomes, in Spanish, cuerpo lúteo, right? And it releases a hormone, which is the progesterone. That is why from this day, from this 14th day, the progesterone levels start to rise. Okay, so um, uh, biologic, what would progesterone mean? What does progesterone mean? Pro means in favor of something, right? You know, when you make a checklist, you write down the pros and the cons, right? You all must have heard of it, right? In movies and TV series, there are pros and cons, right? So progesterone, pro, in favor of gesterone, pregnancy, right? So what does the progesterone do? Come on, guys. What does progesterone do? Anybody, guys?
It, its function is for the reception of the new baby.
Yes, that is great. What's your name?
Brisa Montoya.
Okay, Brisa, you got an extra point. So, as Brisa told us, it is in favor, right? In favor of pregnancy. So, what it does is to make endometrium thicker, right? So, endometrium, we don't have a picture of that here, but endometrial glands are very thin. You know the difference between thin in Spanish would be delgadas, right? Thin, delgado. And the opposite would be thick. Oh, sorry. Thin and thick, they are opposites, right? So this would mean delgado and thick, grueso, right? In this, in the follicular phase of the cycle, the endometrium, right, is really thin. But when we get to the luteal phase, that is why it is called luteal, because the corpus luteum produces progesterone, right? In the luteal phase of the cycle, the progesterone that it is producing makes the endometrium thicker, thick. So it has, well, it goes thicker to, as your classmate told us, be a better environment for it to implant, right? Let's suppose there was ovulation, then got the spermatozoids, and we got a new, like, quoting baby, right? It would implant in a thick endometrium. So the progesterone makes the endometrium thicker for it to implant. Easy, right? So I think that would be it. We're in some other class, we're going to talk about diseases related to this. You must have read about síndrome de ovario poliquístico, right? It is related to, this is a monophase disease. What is a monophase disease? Here we have two phases, the follicular and the luteal phase, right? And this disease, which is, I think it's, I don't quite remember, Stein-Leventhal syndrome, right? Stein-Leventhal syndrome, yes. This this disease is related to a cycle that only has one phase because there is no an LH peak. So this luteal phase never shows up. It's quite interesting, guys. I know that you already read about this. So in some other class, when we get to um, the part that we have to, when we talk about diseases, because now we're just talking about physiology, right? So when we talk about diseases, we're going to talk about that kind of diseases related to this menstrual cycle, which is quite interesting. So as you know, we have to talk about some other um, systems. However, it is not the time. Tomorrow we're going to do that, okay? So this is what was missing from yesterday's class. Since we do not have to go further, we're going to start the practice class. Okay, so we talked about, oh, I remember I asked you something yesterday. We were talking about the layers of the heart, right? And here we have the endocardium. I asked you, and I got you some homework to do. I asked you, well, you all know, you all must have read about the infectious endocarditis, right? I told you there was a similar disease, but related to the endothelium, which is, I mean, the endocardium is a layer of endothelium, right? Just inside the heart. However, the endothelium in the vessels also can get infected. It has a different name from, of course, endocarditis, because it is not endocardium, it is endothelium. So does anybody know what disease we're talking about? The infectious disease of the endothelium of major vessels? Anybody?
Endo,
Yeah.
endotheliitis.
Sorry, could you spell it?
Endotheliitis. ENDOTHLII.
Okay.
TIS.
Yes, of course. Yes, that is the right answer. It is also called, you can see my screen, right? Yeah. There. So, right. And arthritis. Yes, what is your name?
Danitza Burgoa.
Danitza. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So, okay, we're going to We just have. Okay, who is Alejandra Saldaña here? Alejandra, are you here? Okay, I guess she's busy with some other thing. Bernardo, you're next on the list. You're here, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Bernardo. So, could you tell me the layers of the heart?
Yes.
Okay.
The layers are fibrous pericardium, serous pericardium. That's
Well, the heart itself has some other layers, right? It has well, the okay. I think you were talking.
sorry. What?
Yeah, I mean, you were saying, right? I thought I heard you.
No.
Okay, yeah. Could you tell me the layers, all of the layers of the heart, not just the
Oh.
pericardium? Well,
Yeah.
pericardium has two layers, right? And it's a parietal layer and do you hear me?
And the visceral layer.
Okay,
And
okay. That is the pericardium, right? What other structures or what are other layers does the heart have?
the myocardium and the endocardium.
Okay, let me give you a piece of an advice. Pronunciation. Okay. First of all, it's fibrous. Okay. When you say fiber, you are saying that way. Okay. You're saying it that way. Fiber. So it is fibrous. Fibrous layer, visceral layer. That is the pericardium, right? And the visceral layer relates to the well, to the heart itself and forms the epicardium, right? Then it has, well, you told us, again, another pronunciation mistake would be myocardium, okay? Myocardium. When you say it's my name, you say my. So it is myocardium and the endocardium, okay? Can you tell me any other diseases related to any layers? Can you tell me any disease related to the pericardium? Do you know what the pericardium tamponade is? Bernardo, are you there?
No. Sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, you want me to write it? Write it down to,
Yes, please.
okay. This is pericardium tamponade. You must have read about this, or do you see my screen, right?
Yes.
This one, pericardium tamponade. Do you know what it is?
No.
Okay. Does anybody know what a pericardium tamponade is? I'm going to say it in Spanish, and then you're going to explain it in English, of course, okay? Taponamiento cardíaco, right? You must have heard of it. You must have read about it.
It's not like when it's like an obstruction that it's not able to for the blood to go over over there. I don't know.
Uh, could you repeat it? I didn't get it. Sorry.
I think it's like there is an obstruction that impossibles the blue to go over over the place. I don't know if I can. Do you understand me?
Could you say it in Spanish?
Es como algo que está impidiendo que la sangre fluya.
More or less. What kind of?
a
Okay.
buildup of blood or any kind of fluid in the pericardial sac.
That is correct here, right? We said we have two layers here, the parietal layer and the visceral layer. There is a fluid here that makes the heart lubricated. So when it pumps, it doesn't, to make the movements really smooth, right? So when anything, like your partner just said, when any kind of fluid increases in this space, which is the pericardial sac, it makes this space thicker, wider, right? And the heart cannot, we already said yesterday that it has two functions, right? The systolic and the diastolic function. So when it has to relax, so diastole, right? It has to, its walls go around. When it relaxes, the wall of the heart has to go that way, right? To the peripheral space. So when there is some fluid here, it makes it more difficult for the heart to relax. So it causes a diastolic dysfunction. It could go to the next step, which would be a shock, a cardiogenic shock. Okay, what is your name? Yes, you were right.
Maria Jose.
Okay, Maria Jose. So there is a accumulation of any fluid, right, in this space. Okay. Okay, so who's going to be next? Did Alejandro come back? Is Alejandra here? I think she's busy, right? She's online, but okay. Brisa, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide so we can see what to ask you. Okay, here we were talking yesterday about the superior vena cava. Okay, that is the pronunciation. Superior vena cava. Do you know what the superior vena cava syndrome is?
It's a mechanical obstruction.
Yes. Okay. Of the
Of the superior vena cava due to venous thrombi or something like that, or extrinsic compression.
that would be the correct answer. Yes. There is an external compression of the superior vena cava, right? What diseases would end in this syndrome? What diseases would cause this syndrome?
Mm,
we're talking about external compression of the superior vena cava, right? So what is next to the heart?
The lungs.
Yes, so it would be, for example, lung cancer. Okay, so here we have, for example, it would be the lung that has a tumor, and it would compress this superior vena cava and make the venous return quite difficult. So what would you find in your patient with superior vena cava syndrome?
Mm, uh, maybe if it's from because of the lungs, trouble of breathing trouble.
Not really, because I mean, the tumor would be there for a long, long time, right? It would produce, there are some, do you know the histological types of lung cancer?
No.
Okay, it would be small cells cancer and non-small cells cancer, okay? In Spanish would be uh, carcinoma de células pequeñas y carcinoma de células no pequeñas, okay? In this second one, the non small cells cancer, it would be cancer de células no pequeñas. There are three types of different histological types of cancer, okay? And I mean, one of them is the epithelial-like cancer, okay? Why does it have that name? Because um, its cells resemble to the ones in any epithelium, I mean one layer epithelium, okay? And the other is I don't really quite remember right now. Let me see. The epithelial-like, or also called squamous. This would be its name. Squamous cells. Okay, this one is the one that I was telling you about, and the other one that I don't really remember the name are usually located at the apex of the lung, so it's quite superior, like right here. The other ones are more central, the adenocarcinoma, right, which is related to non-smokers. Okay, that is a question of any tests. Okay, so this one and the big cells cancer, okay, are in the central area of the lungs. So they are related to the lower airways. So one of the signs of this kind of cancers, this both that are central, are related to coughing and spitting blood, cough up blood. But this one, the squamous cells, and the other one that I don't really remember the name, are usually located at the apex of the lung. So when they grow, they tend to um, press structures around the tumor, which is one of them, the superior vena cava. Okay, so two types of cell cancers tumor relate to this. So this one of the clinical manifestations are not usually related to difficulty of breathing, shortness of breath, or anything like that, because the central ones are related to coughing and difficulty for breathing. In this superior vena cava syndrome, okay, This kind of tumor, histological tumor, this one, the squamous cells, and the small cells cancer, that is the one, okay, are related to compressing this superior vena cava. So the drainage of the veins is quite difficult, okay? So it turns into edema, just located in the upper body, especially head, neck, and yeah, that will be it. It is called in Spanish edema en esclavina, right? Because this is like a chain around your neck, right? So this kind of edema is related to the superior vena cava syndrome. Okay. Did you get it? Did does any of you have a question or doubt about this superior vena cava syndrome? I mean, it's easy, right? It cannot drain because some tumor is pressing the superior vena cava, and the drainage of the blood cannot reach the right atrium because it's blocked by any kind of tumor, especially lung cancer, especially this one, squamous cell and small cells cancer. Okay, so thank you for participating. We're going to the next one.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
It is said trouble breathing or breathing trouble.
Okay. Usually we have this expression you're seeing my screen, right? Short of this is expression, the most usual common, the most common one, shortness of breath. Okay, we're going to talk about that when we get to the symptoms and signs topic of your infographic. Okay, this is one related to what you're saying. Shortness of breath means dificultad para respirar. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's go on. Who's next? Constanza, are you here? Constanza, are you here? Guess she's busy with some other thing or cannot talk. Okay. Danitza Burgoa? Are you here, Danitza?
Yes.
Okay, Danitza. Okay, as you can see, it is not only an English class, so because you are almost doctors, or some of you are already doctors, so we're talking about scientific stuff here. So tell me, what is this molecule? You can see my screen, right? Oh, sorry, there. It is related to this image that you have on your screen.
Can you repeat the question,
Okay,
doctor, please?
yeah, sure, why not? Can you tell me what is this molecule? This one. I'm going to, I mean, it's not clear enough because it is in red. This one here. I'm going to underline it. This one.
I don't know how to say it, the name in English, but I know the function.
Okay, tell us the function.
The function is to bind to deoxyhemoglobin, and that facilitates oxygen transport.
Yes. Okay, that is great. Yeah. So what this molecule does is to decrease the I don't know how to say it. This molecule is in our red blood cells, right? And it makes the hemoglobin less. Well, it decreases the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen, so it facilitates the delivery of oxygen. Okay, you are right.
Yes.
Okay, so here, of course, where do you live? You live in Cochabamba?
Yes.
Okay, so here in La Paz and some other high altitude cities, we have more of this molecule because it facilitates the low pressure oxygen that we have here to make it easier to deliver to the peripheral tissues. Okay, so yes, you are right. Let's see. How many types of hemoglobin do you know?
The question is for me.
Yes, last question. Come on. In an adult. It's really easy. Hemoglobin type A.
Deoxygenated hemoglobin and oxygenated hemoglobin.
In this case, we would be talking about the types of hemoglobin. We have the type A and 1 and the A2 in adults. When any kind of hemoglobin, when it links to oxygen, it is called oxygenated, right? And deoxygenated, any kind. But the types are two in an adult, the HbA1 and the HbA2. Okay. Okay, so let's go on. I don't know this. So we already talked about this. Oh, okay. Here we missed one concept here. You know what the cardiac output is, right? It's the volume of blood sent off in a unit of time in 1 minute, right? So we multiply the stroke volume by the heart rate, right? So here's a concept we did not talk about yesterday. It is the cardiac index. Does anybody know what the cardiac index is? This one right here. Whose turn is it? Danitza Zambrana, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Danitza. So do you know what cardiac index is?
Is in Spanish?
Okay, but then you are going to translate it into English, okay? First in Spanish, okay?
Es índice cardíaco. Normal, si no estoy mal, el que está en reposo es de 2,5 a 3,5 litros por minuto.
Okay, that is great. But what it is? I mean, here we have a little explanation of these concepts, right? What is the cardiac index?
Oh, is a hemodynamic parameter that relates the cardiac output
Yes,
from ventricle in 1 minute to body surface area.
yes, that is
Um,
correct. Yes. So we relate the cardiac output with the surface of the body, right? Thank you. That was great. That was kind of a tricky question, and you did it. Yes, that's what it is. What do we use the cardiac index for? Well, when we have a heart failure patient, a patient that has this diagnosed cardiac distress or a heart failure, we can use this. Okay. How do we use it? With some protocols. When we study this patient, we have like when you go to the gym and there is a machine in which you run, right? That's what we use in the cardiac index. Okay, so thank you. Uh,
yeah.
so let's see what else. Hmm, who's next? Marcela Guzman, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Marcela. Could you tell me any disease related to the digestive system and tell me a little bit about it?
Wait. Um, gastric, gastritis. I don't know if it says in the same in that way. But it's when we have like some. Uh, how can I say llagas?
Mm, let's keep we can translate that into wounds, right? However, it's not the correct one, but okay, you can go on. You know, like gastritis, okay? Any kind, when we use this suffix, that is itis, we pronounce it that way, okay? Gastritis in this case. Okay, go on.
Sorry, I didn't understood you. Understand you.
Okay, I was telling you a little bit about pronunciation, okay? When we have this suffix itis, we pronounce it that way, itis. It's like the T, you turn it into a D, okay? Itis. In this case, would be gastritis, okay?
But I don't understand what do you mean with iris? Sorry.
Didn't get it. What were you asking me? Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, so when someone this disease is when someone has like iris under its the stomach, and it's like a little bit difficult for them to eat a lot of food because they can make some damage or under the stomach.
Okay. What? There's a syndrome, right? I don't know if you read about it. I don't remember it right now. What the kind of microbe is it? Could it be related to? The most common one.
I really don't know that.
Um, Anybody, guys? What kind of microbe is it related to? What would be related to gastritis? Also enteritis, right? In the first part, the duodenum, it causes inflammation of the mucosa. I'm sure you read about it. Helicobacter pylori, right?
Yes.
I think it's written that way, right? So, what? Okay, Marcela, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So you heard about this microbe, right? Helicobacter pylori.
Yes.
What cell does it infect, especially?
Mm,
I mean, here we
mm,
have. I'm sorry. I don't know what this slide was. Here we have. Here, here we have. And this is an oxyntic gland, right? And here we have a lot of cells. What cell is related to the infection of this microbe? Here, at least here in my country, when we talk about gastritis, we have to, well, we are mm, like from the university, we are taught to think in this microbe. I don't know if you, in your country, where are you from?
I'm from El Salvador.
Okay. Mm, do you have a lot of infections from this microbe in your country?
About that, I don't know really, but I had heard about this illness because of my mom has it. So that's the reason.
Okay. Okay. Well, did you get any tests like the ureasa test?
I'm not really sure about that really.
Okay. So here, let me tell you a little bit about this microbe. It usually infects one of these cells right here. Okay. This one, the D cells. Okay. This microbe usually infects D cells. So what does D cells do? They produce somatostatin and inhibits the secretion. So it's like a brake, right? It's like when this cell is stimulated, releases this molecule, somatostatin, and stops the D cells. It's like a brake to the G cells, I'm sorry. And the G cells produce gastrin, okay? So it's like somatostatin stops G cells. So it does not produce gastrin. And as we talked yesterday, gastrin is one of the main stimulations that the parietal cell has for it to produce acid, right? So when this cell is infected, the D cell is infected by this microbe, it does not produce somatostatin, so the G cells do not have a break, do not stop producing gastrin. So there's an oversecretion of gastrin by G cells. So it overstimulates parietal cells and it produces a lot of acid. And that is how this microbe is related to gastritis. Okay, did you get it? I mean, it's really easy.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Who's next? Um, I think one of you escaped. There's less people now here. Maria Jose, are you here? She ran off.
Yes.
Oh, okay, here you are. Okay, so can you tell me any disease related to the female reproductive system? Oh, well, let's make it easier. Uh, do you know Well, yesterday we talked about this, right? The liver and bile ducts. So here in Bolivia, have a lot of patients that have this diagnosis, which is cholecystitis, right? Do you know what cholecystitis is, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay, in Spanish it would be cholecystitis.
It's when you have how do you call it? Rocks.
Uh,
uh,
okay, you can go ahead. Okay, and makes the wall of the gallbladder inflamed, right?
mhm.
Or what concept do you have about this disease?
I thought it was when you have a calculus. I don't know how to say it in English.
Okay, it's called calculi. That way it will be calculi. Okay, would be almost the same. Yes, and it is correct. Okay, there are calculi inside the gallbladder, right? And what happens next?
You have to get the whole bile out.
Okay, yes. What clinical manifestations would the patient have?
Chronic pain.
In which quadrant of the abdomen?
And wait.
We already talked about this. I think it was in the first or second class. The right upper
In
quadrant,
the
right? Or
the
okay, go ahead. And there's another name for it.
the right upper quadrant.
Yes, and the other name in the other nomenclature?
Right hypochondriac region.
Yes. Okay, what else? What else would the patient have besides pain, right?
I don't know.
Okay, pain, also nausea. When does the pain appear? When does it show up? It's like any day, like you are running and it shows up, or when you eat something specifically. Hello, are you there? Hello, are you still there? Does anybody know? Some of you are senior students, and that means that you're in your last year, right? So come on, guys. What kind of foods make the pain related to cholecystitis show up or appear?
Greasy food.
Yes, that is correct. What is your name?
Maria Jose.
Maria Jose, okay. So yes, greasy food. And why is it related to the well for to the Spain? Why this kind of food and not other kind of food? Maria Jose, you're doing great. I know you know the right answer. Come on.
What was the question?
Okay, why is greasy food related to this pain? That is that it shows up when a patient has cholecystitis. Why this kind of food, greasy food, and not other?
I don't know.
I'm sure you know. I mean, what does bile do? I mean, in Spanish, bilis. ¿Cuál es la función de la bilis? What is the main function of bile?
It's because the bile has to work harder for the greasy food, or has to, how do you say secretar?
Okay,
more,
yeah, okay,
more bilis.
okay. So what is the main function of bile? ¿Cuál es la función principal de la bilis?
Ayudar a la digestión.
Of what kind of food?
Greasy food.
Yes, so, okay, so bile, what does it do? It makes this grease, right, adaptable for absorption, right? So when we eat greasy food, there's a hormone called cytokinin, right, that is produced in one of these cells right here in the fundus of the stomach, and it travels through the bloodstream and gets to the gallbladder, and it makes it to contract, and the bile that is inside the gallbladder goes through the cystic duct and reaches the small intestine, right? And that is how it gets to the intestine, and it makes it easier to absorb grease, right? That is an effect. I think it is I don't remember the word. However, it makes it easier to absorb, right? So when we eat grease, something greasy, uh, this cells from the stomach, I think it is not here. However, it is in the fundus. This is an oxyntic gland, but from the body of the stomach. At the level of the fundus, we have another kind of cell that secretes this cholecystokinin and makes the gallbladder contract. Okay, that is why when we eat greasy food, imagine the gallbladder contracts and has calculi inside, so it's gonna hurt, right? That is what is connected to, related to a hormone, which is cholecystokinin. Okay, I know you all read about it. I'm sure that you know all this kind of stuff. That you, the only fact is that you are kind of nervous when you speak when you speak in English. So, guys, it's almost 9:30, so we're going to end the class for today. Okay, I'm going to send you the poll, and please fill your answers, mark your answers, and let me know when you're done. Okay, let's get started.
I'm done.
Me too.
Okay, okay, guys. There's one more person who did not answer here. I know who it is. Okay, we're gonna, maybe this person is busy with something else. Tomorrow we're going to finish with the parts of the body and functions of the body topic, okay? So see you tomorrow. Have a good night. And yep, that would be it. See you tomorrow, guys. Bye.
See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.